Have you ever found yourself in a meeting, maybe with your marketing counterparts, and thought, are we even speaking the same language?
Mhm.
Or maybe worse, felt like the leads coming your way were, well, a little cold. If you're a business developer, you definitely know that frustration. It's kind of like being handed an ingredient list when what you really need is, the finished recipe. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the strategic world of marketing. We're pulling back the curtain on how they operate, where the responsibilities truly lie, and most importantly, how understanding their game plan becomes your ultimate shortcut to warmer leads, stronger partnerships, and, let's be honest, undeniable revenue growth. Our exploration today is built around a key source, the marketing strategy section of the business development body of knowledge. Our mission isn't just to define terms, it's really to unpack the strategic role of marketing, reveal its distinct responsibilities, and show how it meticulously orchestrates campaigns that directly fuel your business development efforts. We'll be focusing on a crucial framework, the 5 brand pillars that underpin, well, every truly successful marketing strategy. Think of it as gaining the inside track on marketing's playbook so you can collaborate smarter and ultimately convert more effectively.
And that's precisely it. For you as a business developer, seeing marketing not just as some, support function, but as a strategic partner, that fundamentally shifts how you approach your work. This isn't just academic theory. Understanding the depth of marketing strategy is absolutely vital for effective collaboration, for identifying genuinely high-quality leads, and ultimately for driving significant revenue. This deep dive, well, it should give you a really well-informed perspective on this critical partnership, making you more effective in your role.
Okay, let's tackle a common misconception right off the bat. You hear it all the time. Marketing equals business development. But our source material is pretty unequivocal on this. They are distinct with unique responsibilities. So what's the fundamental difference in their ownership, and how does that actually impact the leads that we receive?
Yeah, that's a crucial starting point. And what's fascinating here is how clearly defined these roles actually are, or at least how they should be. Marketing fundamentally owns what we call the awareness phase. This is the very first stage where potential prospects interact with your brand. Their efforts through branding and outreach are all about making people aware your solution even exists. The key goal for marketing here is to produce an information qualified lead, an IQL. Think of these as, well, cold leads or marketing sourced leads. They're aware, maybe, but perhaps not yet actively seeking a solution. Business development, on the other hand, you step in and own the activation phase. This is that pivotal moment when a prospect has recognized they have a problem and begins actively researching solutions. They're looking at what our sources call the 3 Ps: price, performance, and their perception of benefits. It's a distinct handoff. But, and this is key, there's crucial overlap because marketing's job definitely doesn't just stop there.
Okay, so if marketing gets us that initial cold lead, that IQL, is their mission accomplished then? Is their job done once it hits our pipeline? Because honestly, sometimes it can feel that way.
No, not at all. And this raises a really important question for BD professionals, right? How does marketing continue to support you beyond that initial handoff? While marketing initiates the awareness phase, their role is absolutely continuous. They provide ongoing support to business development by constantly optimizing brand activation content, refining the message, and, critically, by feeding back crucial insights from those prospects, things they learn. If we connect this to the bigger picture, marketing's influence spans the entire BD value chain, from conversion through success and ultimately to growth. This is exactly why BD truly is a team sport, with marketing playing an integral and continuous role, deploying a whole mix of various marketing strategies throughout the customer journey, not just at the beginning.
That makes perfect sense. It's much more of a symbiotic relationship, constantly fueling the pipeline, ideally. And this brings us right to the core of how marketing strategizes for that continuous growth. Our sources highlight these 5 brand pillars as the foundational framework for orchestrating all those campaigns. Let's dig into the first one, positioning. As business developers, we're obviously deeply involved in identifying our target markets. How does marketing leverage that information?
Right, positioning is all about understanding who you're talking to and, importantly, where your brand fits into their world. The marketing team gathers incredibly detailed data for these target market segments, much more than you might think. For business to consumer, B2C customers, they're looking at demographics, age, income, location, the usual suspects. For business to business, B2B, that data becomes firmographics covering things like annual revenue, number of employees, industry sector. And if you're dealing with business to government, B2G, there are govographics detailing things like annual budget, type of agency, number of citizens served. But honestly, it goes far beyond those basic stats. Marketers also dig deep into psychographics. This characterizes the psychology of your buyers, their activities, interests, opinions. AIO variables, they're sometimes called. Think hobbies, lifestyle choices. And for tech-centric products, there's technographics, analyzing the specific hardware or software customers use, and, crucially, how frequently. Why does all this matter, Frano? Because finally, channel graphics helps identify the most desired marketing channels. We're talking the exact communications pathway, the media destination, the content type, even the content format that will best reach them. It's about meeting your prospect exactly where they are in the way they prefer.
Wow, that's incredibly granular. It really paints a detailed picture of the target audience. And I know there's often confusion between an ideal customer profile and a buyer persona. Can you clarify that distinction for us, maybe with a quick analogy?
Yeah, certainly. It trips people up sometimes. Think of it this way. The ideal customer profile, or ICP, summarizes the firmographic or govographic data for the organization you want to target. It's about the company itself or the government agency, the target account, basically. The buyer persona, on the other hand, is a semi-fictional representation of the individual human being inside that organization you'll likely be speaking with. Their specific job title, their day-to-day challenges, their personal goals related to their role, what keeps them up at night. So ICP is a target account. Buyer persona is your specific contact. Makes sense. Once these precise profiles are clear, the marketing team takes the competitive differentiators identified by BD leadership, the things that make you stand out, and refines them into a powerful unique selling proposition, or USP. This USP, sometimes called a unique value proposition or point, is what truly grabs market attention, whether it's based on, say, price, speed, efficiency, or maybe quality and effectiveness.
Okay, that connection between the data, the persona, and the USP is really clear. And that brings us neatly to our second pillar, purpose.
So once you've crafted that unique selling proposition, how does purpose fit into the equation? Is it just like a nice to have?
Oh, far from it. The USP absolutely must align directly with the brand promise, or the brand purpose, essentially, the why behind your business, the core reason you exist beyond just making money. This is what we call purpose-driven marketing. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really about authenticity. A really powerful example our source mentions is Tana MS shoes. Remember them. Their USP wasn't just selling affordable shoes. It was that combined with the very clear, powerful purpose of donating a pair for every pair sold. That combination of purpose and a competitive category resonated so deeply with their target segment, it turned customers into passionate advocates.
That's a classic example, yeah. It shows how purpose can really elevate a brand beyond just its product features. But I imagine purpose doesn't always have to be tied to a big social cause, right? And what happens if it feels forced or inauthentic? Precisely. A corporate purpose doesn't inherently need to be a social cause, although it can be. What's absolutely critical is that it's genuine and integrated into the company's very fabric, its culture, its operations. Artificially aligning with some trendy social cause that has nothing to do with your core business, well, that can be perceived as untruthful, even cynical. And as we've seen countless times, that can significantly damage the brand's reputation. This is exactly why marketing leaders implement robust brand safety policies and are often at the forefront of crisis management responses. They use tools like crisis public relations to repair perceptions when, things inevitably go wrong sometimes. For you, the BD professional, understanding your company's true, authentic purpose can actually provide a really powerful narrative for your pitches, especially when prospects are looking for more than just a simple transaction. They want to know who they're partnering with.
That makes perfect sense. Authenticity is key. Now let's talk about our third pillar, personality. Often you hear people use marketing and branding almost interchangeably. Can you maybe clear that up for us and explain why personality is so fundamental?
Absolutely. That's a common mix-up. Branding is actually a crucial subcomponent of the overall marketing strategy. It's not a synonym for the whole thing. Think about the definition, like the one from the Cambridge Dictionary. Branding is the act of giving a corporation a particular design or symbol in order to advertise its products and services. So the ultimate objective here is to associate that intangible USP we discussed earlier with a unique, recognizable combination of visuals, sounds, and importantly, sentiments or feelings. This helps increase brand awareness, obviously, but also brand salience, making it really easy for customers to identify and recall your company in today's incredibly crowded global marketplace.
Okay, so it's about making your brand instantly recognizable and memorable. essentially giving it a human-like character or vibe. What kind of tangible impact does this consistency actually have on things like revenue or visibility? Are there numbers behind that?
Oh, this is where it gets really impactful for the bottom line. Consistent brand assets, think about things like jingles you can't get out of your head, memorable mascots, distinct logos, or even unique scents in a retail space that can significantly boost performance. Research actually shows that consistent branding can increase revenue by up to 23%. That's huge. And it can increase brand visibility by 3.5 times more than competitors who have inconsistent or messy branding. This consistency is meticulously outlined in brand guidelines. These documents specify everything from the core brand message and values your company's fundamental point of view to the actual brand personality. These are human characteristics and traits assigned to the brand. Often, marketers reference Dr. Jennifer Akers' well known 5 brand dimensions. There's competence, think of like a trusted financial advisor brand, reliable, intelligent, sincerity, maybe like a warm, community focused bakery, down to earth, honest. Excitement, imagine an energy drink or a cutting edge tech startup. Daring, spirited, sophistication, perhaps a luxury car brand or high end fashion label, upper class, charming, and ruggedness like outdoor gear designed for extreme conditions, outdoorsy, tough. The guidelines also define the brand's tone of voice, typography, color palette, logo design, and even other assets like sonic branding. That distinctive soundbite you instantly associate with a brand like Intel or Netflix.
Right. So it's all about building that emotional connection, trying to trigger what you call the experiencing self of the subconscious brain.
Yeah.
What do the studies tell us about the power of this emotional marketing?
That's precisely the goal of these detailed brand guidelines. To enable effective emotional marketing, sometimes called brand marketing or persuasive marketing, you really want to trigger that experiencing self, that intuitive part of the subconscious brain, aiming for an emotional response. Because frankly, that's often what drives action, more than pure logic. Consider these fascinating studies. Princeton psychologists Janine Willis and Alexander Todorov found that humans subconsciously determine trustworthiness and attractiveness within a staggering 110th of a second, 1/10. Think about that in the context of your first impression with a prospect, whether it's an email, a website visit, or meeting you. And other studies have shown that purely emotional marketing content performed about twice as well, I think 31% success versus 16% compared to purely informative, rational content. So this raises a really important question for BD, doesn't it? Why does emotion work so well, and how can you leverage this understanding? Well, specific emotions tend to yield specific responses. For instance, studies show positive, uplifting content spreads faster on social media. Makes sense. Sadness can inspire empathy and connection, while surprise, fear, or even anger can sometimes elicit a desire for comfort, security, and ultimately loyalty to a brand that provides it. This is exactly why sharing those brand guidelines consistently with all your marketing ambassadors, that includes your employees, your partners, the influencers you might work with, is so vital. Everyone needs to be singing from the same hymn sheet, ensuring that consistent, impactful, emotional connection. It makes your job easier when you follow up because the groundwork's been laid.
That's incredibly powerful information, especially for business developers thinking about how leads are warmed up. Okay, so we've positioned our brand, we've defined its purpose, and we've sculpted its personality. How do marketers actually do all this out in the world? That brings us to our fourth pillar, promotional strategy, or what's often called the promotional mix.
Right. This is where the strategic rubber really meets the road, execution time. There are several common approaches your marketing team might be using, and honestly, understanding them gives you a critical edge when you receive a lead. You know its history, sort of. First, there's inbound marketing. You probably hear this a lot, also known as demand generation or permission marketing. This focuses on building a consensual relationship. It's about nurturing prospects by providing valuable content, blogs, SEO, helpful social media so they come to you. When you get an inbound lead, they're usually warmer, right? Because they initiated the contact, they raised their hand. Then there's the flip side. Outbound marketing or lead generation. This is more of a traditional push or interruption approach. It's non-consensual media, things like traditional ads, maybe cold calls or email blasts. It can be designed for quick conversions, but it's often less efficient long-term and can sometimes annoy people. Leads from outbound efforts might require, well, significantly more nurturing from your side. Another more sophisticated approach, especially relevant for B2B and B2G, is buyer group marketing. This includes account-based marketing, or ABM. ABM cleverly combines the best of inbound and outbound tactics, specifically targeting key B2B and B2G customers. It involves tailoring content very specifically for certain accounts or groups. This is super relevant for you as a BD professional. There are generally 3 types. One-to-one, strategic ABM, highly customized for each individual target account. One-to-few, ABM Lite for small clusters of similar accounts, and one-to-many programmatic ABM using tech to target a larger segment of accounts with tailored messaging. So when marketing is using ABM effectively, you know the leads you get are likely already highly qualified and they've probably seen content tailored just for their specific needs or company. And then, of course, there's expansion marketing, often called customer marketing or relationship marketing. This focuses entirely on your existing customers trying to upsell, cross-sell, and importantly, leverage their advocacy and testimonials. These are often the easiest wins for BD, wouldn't you agree? Because that trust is already firmly established.
Absolutely. Warm leads are always better. And what about this growth marketing that seems to be the big buzzword right now? How does that fit in with all these other strategies you've mentioned?
Growth marketing, also called omnichannel or full funnel marketing, it's really an integrative philosophy more than just one tactic. It's deeply customer centric, focusing relentlessly on meeting the customer with the right message on the right channel at exactly the right time across their entire journey, not just at the start. It intelligently pulls from all these other strategies: inbound, outbound, ABM, expansion, constantly testing, learning, and optimizing based on data. And the benefits, well, they're potentially quite significant. Executed well, it can cut customer acquisition costs by up to 50%.
Wow, 50%.
Yeah. And increase revenues by up to 15%, while also increasing overall marketing efficiency by around 30%. It's really an always on, data driven approach that aims to maximize impact at every single stage, meaning, hopefully, a much smoother journey for your leads from first touch to close deal.
Incredible potential there. So once all these sophisticated strategies are in motion, driving leads and engagement, how do marketers actually measure success and, crucially, improve them over time? That brings us neatly to our final pillar, perception.
Right. Perception is all about continuous assessment and adaptation. It's about understanding how the market perceives you and how you stack up. Marketing strategies aren't static, they're typically updated annually, at least. This process incorporates things like brand audits, systematic checks to gauge customer perceptions and feelings about the brand, and also benchmark marketing, carefully assessing competitor performance, messaging, and positioning. The ultimate goal here is strategic brand management, constantly working to maximize brand equity by continually assessing and refining those other pillars: the position, the purpose, the personality, and the promotion. For you, the BD professional, this should mean that marketing is constantly refining their approach, ideally improving the quality of the leads you receive over time and strengthening the overall brand you represent in the market. This also directly ties into how marketing budgets are actually managed, which, let's face it, impacts the resources available to generate your leads in the first place. There are two primary methods discussed in our source. First, there's multi-channel budgeting, which you could call traditional budgeting. This is more of a budget-first approach. A certain percentage of gross revenue, typically somewhere between 5% and 13%, depending on the industry and company stage, is allocated to marketing overall, and then that pot is distributed across various channels, often based on historical spending or gut feel. It can be fairly rigid. In stark contrast, you have omni-channel budgeting, which is really growth marketing budgeting. This is fundamentally a results first method. Its primary objective isn't just spending a budget, it's explicitly to lower the customer acquisition cost, GACI, and increase customer lifetime value, LTV. Those are the key metrics. This method gives marketing leadership the flexibility to reallocate funding dynamically between channels based on real-time performance data. They might even use predictive models like uplift modeling to forecast campaign results and adjust budgets proactively. There's also something called the Marketing Investment Allocation Model, or MIAM, which further guides how resources are typically allocated based on the specific business phase. For instance, a new company might invest heavily in awareness, while a more established one might focus more on retention and expansion marketing. So for BD, the key takeaway here is that modern effective marketing is directly optimizing for the very metrics lower SAC, higher LTV that also drive your success and commissions.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive, really getting into the weeds of marketing strategy and, crucially, how it directly fuels and supports business development. So if we had to distill this all down for our listener, the busy business developer, what are the absolute top three things you'd want them to walk away with today?
Okay, top three takeaways. First, and maybe most importantly, remember that marketing and business development are distinct but truly interdependent. While you own different primary phases, awareness for marketing, activation for BD, and have distinct responsibilities, your collaboration is absolutely critical for success across that entire customer value chain. It really is a team sport. Don't operate in silos. Second, strategic marketing is built on purposeful branding. Really get a handle on those 5 brand pillars: positioning, purpose, personality, promotion, and perception. They're the blueprint. And especially appreciate the profound impact of brand personality and emotional marketing. Remember those stats. Consistency can dramatically increase revenue up to 23% and visibility by 3.5 times. And emotional content performs about twice as well as purely informative content. These aren't just abstract marketing numbers, they translate directly into potentially warmer, more receptive leads for you. And finally, number 3. Modern marketing is fundamentally data-driven and adaptive. From gathering that incredibly granular customer data demographics all the way to channel graphics to employing flexible omnichannel budgeting focused on results, successful marketing continuously assesses performance, optimizes investment to lower CAC and boost LTV, and always adapts to maximize brand equity in a changing market. What this means for you is that your marketing team, when functioning well, is constantly working to make your job as a business developer more efficient and ultimately more effective.
That's a fantastic summary. So, as business developers, maybe next time you think about your next big lead or that crucial partnership negotiation, consider this. How deeply does your team, both BD and marketing together, really understand the experiencing self, that emotional core of your target customer? And how intentionally is your brand actually engaging with it? Because in today's world of complete information overload, sometimes the most compelling data point isn't another statistic, but a genuinely felt emotion. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into marketing strategy from a business developer's perspective. We sincerely hope this exploration has given you not just information, but practical insights that empower your work and sharpen your own strategic edge. Until next time, keep digging for knowledge.